and the police chief walking into the podium at the mics. Let's listen in.
Everybody. Good evening. I thank the Atlanta Police Department for their response today, and I'd also like to thank our law enforcement partners from across this region. As you see standing behind me and with me today are the police chief of Cobb County, as well as the Fulton County Sheriff, as well as our APD police chief, as well as our fire rescue chief, Chief Smith. I want to thank also our local college police offices and also our Atlanta Public Schools Police Office, as well as neighboring jurisdictions, the state of Georgia, and the federal government that has all chipped in on this support today. We also had strong coordination with our fire and rescue and emergency medical personnel. And last but not least, we must thank our E911 operators who spent the day fielding calls as we tracked this suspect. I am pleased to share with you that thanks to our strong partnership with Cobb County Police Department, law enforcement have taken the suspect into custody. Thanks to the highly trained police officers across our region, we are able to bring this suspect into custody without further harm. He will be charged and stand trial for his crimes. Not only did law enforcement bring this man into custody, they also kept our community safe during an enormously tense afternoon and evening. I want to thank our citizens for keeping calm, staying in place, and for providing critical information to law enforcement throughout the day. Now, I'm going to turn it over to law enforcement to share an update, and I'll return to share a few additional remarks later. Now, I'll turn it over to APD Police Chief Darren Shearbaum.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the members of the press for being here this evening. You all have played an important role today as we kept citizens both in Atlanta and Cobb County informed, asked for their assistance as we sought the apprehension of this very dangerous perpetrator. And thank you for returning tonight to again update those of our various communities. The mayor spoke today of a capable, competent, and brave response by the first responder network that served not only this city but this region. And I just want the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department to know, those that are in our 911 center, our first responding officers, our tactical teams, our investigators, how proud yet again I am of you of the work that you have done today on behalf of this city. And in the most dire of circumstances, you have shown what you do daily for the men and women that call this city home and those that visit here. But if you look closely on the earliest views from the crime scene, you saw not only the Atlanta Police Department responding, you saw a network of officers representing multiple agencies who have trained for this various outcome, Mr. Mayor, over and over again, that a day that this tragedy should befall the city, that we would be ready. And I stand here today to tell you that the first responder network was there today for their city. The Sheriff of Fulton County, Sheriff Labatt, the Georgia State Patrol, the MARTA Police Department, Georgia Tech Police Department, Georgia State University, marshals, they were all on scene quickly, executing their active shooter protocol to stop this situation. And then very shortly we were joined by the GBI, the FBI, the Secret Service, as well as United States Marshal Service as we sought to bring this person into custody. And that investigation soon showed us that this perpetrator had left the city and remained a threat elsewhere. And Sheriff Van Hooser, I just want you to know that we are a grateful city tonight for your partnership and the efforts of your law enforcement agency to take this individual into custody. And then this morning, we celebrated the bravery of Atlanta Fire Rescue, not far from here, as for their annual commemoration of Firefighters Day. And to see the paramedics and firefighters, when we did not know where the shooter was, that could easily have still been in the building, around the corner, to see our firefighters dismount their trucks and Chief Smith go into that situation. But it wasn't the first time I've seen that, Chief, because we had seen that in training over and over again. And today, when it was necessary to save lives, we were very proud to see you a strong partnership as we moved into that dangerous situation. And thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask our Deputy Chief of Criminal Investigations, Charles Hampton, to come forward to recap what has transpired today, what we have learned from the investigation, and then Chief Van Hooser will come forward to outline how his department led to the capture of this perpetrator today. Chief.
Good evening. What we do know, we know that shortly before noon, the subject entered into 1110 West Peachtree Street and went to a medical center inside the building. It was shortly thereafter that he shot our first victim, and then the first 911 call came after that. He spent about maybe 2 minutes inside the building, where he then exited on foot. And what we were able to pick up on the camera network system is that he went to a Shell gas station where he commandeered a vehicle. That pickup truck was left running unattended, and he took that vehicle. We were able to, again, use video to obtain a tag and immediately place that tag into our LPR system, our license plate reader system. And so at that time, we had to really do some work to figure out where he was at. There was a series of search warrants drafted.
All right, so right now our image is frozen. That's okay. We're going to stay on this image now and let you know that we were hearing a news conference at APD headquarters where Deion Patterson is in custody. Let's go ahead and show you some new arrest video now while we wait to get that signal back. This is new arrest video. This is of the takedown, near the takedown. This is the area in that apartment complex in Cobb County. Take a look at the officers moving in, Karen. They're moving in. They're slowly moving in. They're about to apprehend the suspect, Deion Patterson.
They have him on the ground there. This is in the back of that apartment complex by the pool area, we're told. A woman who lives in that complex actually told us just moments ago that she went to police and told them they should search that area because it is a good hiding place. It's off to the side. It's by the woods. So police had some other tips, but they went back there. They searched that pool area, and that is the takedown right there, as you see many officers in the area. It looks like we're back. Let's listen into the conference.
First of all, I want to very much the families involved and know that me personally, and I'm sure collectively from all of those who were involved in today's incident, that our prayers and thoughts are with the families that have been affected by this. Of course, we saw what was going on the news. We had heard through our networks of what was going on in Atlanta. When we discovered that the individual had last been identified on a flock LPR camera in our jurisdiction, of course, we sent officers to that area and set up, not so much a perimeter, but we began to look for the vehicle. And I will be honest with you. First of all, let me apologize in advance. I have not prepared a statement. I have not had time to prepare a statement. So what I'm giving you guys is not planned, and I will probably make a few mistakes, and I'll probably forget to thank some people. But what I can tell you is this: these are massively complex investigations, and information comes in so quickly, and it is so confusing and so contradicting that we find that we are often trying to go 3 or 4 different places very quickly, each seeming to be the suspect. And so that was what was happening today. We had, it was a fairly chaotic scene. We were being called to various locations in that area about what appeared to be legitimate sightings of this individual. And there was some fear, of course, in the citizens in that area, of course. So our officers were responding to those calls, and I will say this: if you rewind the hand of time 4 years, we probably would not be where we are today right now. Technology played a huge role, but technology doesn't do any good without people who are determined to capture an individual that would do something like this. And today we saw where those two things came together in an amazing way. Nobody went home today. Everybody stayed. We have a fairly new real-time crime center by a local company named Fusus. Flock is a fairly new company. It's a local company as well. We have partnered with both of those companies, and they have brought us some amazing tools, as has the other jurisdictions in the Atlanta area. Those tools are what really got us the clues that we needed to make this successful, and the people that were getting those clues from that technology made this happen. So We had a lot of clues, enough clues from both our real-time crime center and Flock to have a pretty good instinct on the calls that were coming in. We had checked a building that we knew that he had gone into, and we had cleared that building, and we knew that, that he was not in that building. That building was unoccupied. It was being built. It was very close to Truist Park and the Battery, which, of course, was very concerning to us, as that's many people would be in that location. So we were concerned about the safety of our community in general, but particularly that one. So the operators in our real-time crime center were fielding many of these calls and looking at them and trying to determine which ones seemed legitimate, which ones did not. And most of that is a little bit of gut, but it was also based on some of the things that we were seeing on the map and what made sense to the real-time operators. One real-time operator in particular saw a 911 call come in, literally said, "I think this is going to be him." And it was mostly instinct, but a lot of it did have to do with where this call was coming in and where this individual was supposed to be. That real-time operator communicated with the 911 operator that was in the command center with us, and we prioritized that call on the radio. And we had some officers, both undercover and uniformed officers. I believe, if I have my facts correct, that an undercover officer was the one that originally saw and confronted this individual and was able to then have backup from uniformed officers that came in and took him into custody without incident. I would forget, and I will forget, some of the people and organizations to thank, but I can reiterate what Mayor Dickens and Chief Shearbaum said, and there's no reason to really go back into all of it, but I can tell you that it does not work without a cooperative community, a community that backs up the police, that allows the police to take risks and try to take violent people into custody. We have a very, very supportive community in Cobb County, a very supportive elected official group, and very supportive leadership, and that's very, very important for us. We had great community members who were calling us and giving us information. We have a 911 center who has shared their data with us. We have a DOT that gave us information and access to cameras that we did not have previously, and those cameras proved extremely helpful today. That is where we got the precise location of the building that he walked into. So the amazing cooperation between many that you would not really consider a public safety agency, like the Department of Transportation, and all the public safety agencies in Cobb County, the cities. GSP helped us with Overwatch and with a helicopter. It's just you can't really thank people without missing someone. But hats off to everybody who was involved in this and all of the foundation of the technology that was laid. And lastly, I'll have to say that the communication between agencies in Metro Atlanta has probably never been this good, especially particularly from the Atlanta Police Department. Incredible outreach with Chief Shearbaum and the whole team here. And we were here just last week learning things from the Atlanta Police Department. So thank you to everyone who was involved in this. We're, of course, honored to have been a part of it, and thank everyone who was involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you, Chief. And thank you again to all of our partners here in law enforcement for their cooperation and professional work today. As you can see, this is a group project. This took multiple jurisdictions working together, highly trained officers who not only found this suspect, but brought him into custody to stand trial. So thanks to the professional and trained law enforcement in our region, this is an instance where justice is the case of the day. But that doesn't change the fact that one woman died, and there are 4 more in the hospital just a few blocks away from here, fighting for their lives. And I want to thank Grady Hospital, the care that they've given immediately to those 4 individuals. Those 4 women are now on the mend, and that's because of the outstanding work by our trauma center and those medical professionals at Grady. So we need to talk about the shooting that happened today. This was a horrible act of gun violence. But equally horrifying is that we know that this is not unique in our country. In 2023 alone, there have been nearly 200 reported instances of mass shootings in America. We have taken extraordinary measures in Atlanta to bring down violent crime in this city. We've enhanced our policing. We've invested in non-policing activities that make our city safer. We've invested in the root causes of crime at the same time that we're cracking down on repeat offenders who commit violence in our community. Those measures have produced great results. Before today, we were down 26% in violent crimes across our city. And those are not just stats. Those are real people who are not going to be victims of violence. But we know there is more that needs to be done. But what more can we do as a city? What more can we do as a community, as a state, or as a nation? We have a national epidemic on gun violence in America, and we have a serious problem with how we are treating mental health in this nation. One thing we know is that it doesn't have to be this way. Other nations have challenges with mental health, but they don't seem to have nearly the level of gun violence that we do in America. So it's the guns that we're talking about. We live in a state and in a nation where people have easy and wide access to firearms that are used to kill other fellow Americans. We need immediate action that meets the urgency of this crisis. We need universal background checks, and we need to close the gun purchase loopholes. We need better red flag laws that allow judges to remove guns from people who pose risks. We need to do everything we can to ensure that folks who shouldn't have guns can't get them. There's a lot of talk about Second Amendment rights. We need more actions about the rights of our citizens to go about their lives, to be able to go to a doctor's office, to a supermarket, to a gas station, or to their school without the threat of being gunned down. We all need to do our part to stop these horrific acts from happening again and again. So you will be hearing more from me on this. But today, we are grateful for the women and men who brought this to a close, the team of people that back up the team of people that you see standing here. And our prayers are with the victims and with the families that were injured or killed today. With that, I am happy to take your questions.
Mayor Dickens.
And we have been listening to Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens just moments after suspect Deion Patterson was arrested, taken down in Cobb County and brought into Atlanta Police Headquarters. We also heard from Deputy Police Chief Charles Hampton on how this all happened, how they were able to track this suspect with the help of cameras, those flock cameras, Department of Transportation cameras, and how they had coordination from all these agencies.